the consumerization of technology, which hit the consumers first, is hitting the enterprise at a speed in which we at times are struggling to compete with. So I like your phrase of agile, because agile for me is not in the development space. It's actually how do you create an agile function completely to manage all the different complexities. And security is one key component. So
it's a change of security being something you have to do versus a culture of is part of how we do everything.
Right at the core.
And I think privacy is helping that conversation change as well, right? Like you're starting to see that.
And I think one of the things that we found is, the typical answer for security was no. You want to do that? No.
Yeah.
You secure.
No until proven otherwise.
You're secure then, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. So we've had to put frameworks together, very similar to what you were talking about in terms of the modularity, because we know different components are going to be changing at different times throughout the life of the project that you have. So today, A, B, and C may work, but tomorrow, PQRST, we've got to bring that into your contract, because we've actually got to follow your business and what it is that you're trying to achieve. So what we're finding is that negotiation that we're embarking on now isn't just a technology or a circuit or a service. It's now more of a holistic approach. You are having a lot more involvement with procurement because they're looking at the flexibility that you can offer them. You're talking to the enterprise architect saying, well, okay, I'm sort of seeing this coming through in 2 years' time. How would that affect you? So you're now seeing some very complex contracts that are beginning to form. And of course, the first thing that people say is we want simplicity. We want that flexibility that you've promised us.
Faster, better, cheaper.
Exactly. So, it's a multifaceted environment. It's not only that you're changing, but the service provider is also then having to change as well to try and accommodate what we think you're going to be up to in 2 years' time. It's a fantastic industry at the moment, and it's just lots of change. If anybody turns around and says, this is going to happen in 2 years' time, I'm sort of tempted to say, can you show me your crystal ball? Because it is moving that fast.
And it's crazy, right? When you talk about some of these cultural changes, when you're seeing the consumer expectation is so fast, and really criminals don't do POCs or innovation labs, and they don't do these things. They will find the fastest way to
Not the ones that we spot, yeah.
So they'll find the fastest way to your consumer, to your data. So your organization touches the consumer expecting to then use technology. How does that change the culture shift internally, or what are some of the sort of mountains to move here?
I think it's internally as well as externally. One of the credos in our company is, IT provider to customers, and they have customers. So for us, it's really how can we affect our customers' life. And we've heard a lot about change, flexibility, speed, and all that is great, and the consumer expects it. But with that also comes the responsibility of change management. For me, the role of the CIO isn't anymore to just come up with an enterprise architecture, but also to work with the business to actually understand what the change means to them, how they can get real benefits, and how they can serve the end customers. Because if we just give people the latest gadget, the latest gizmo, I think we all have drawers full of old phones, etc. That doesn't give you anything. You need to know how to get real benefit out of that. So for me, the role of the CIO is becoming more of a change agent as well. And yes, security needs to be there, very important. Yes, the speed needs to be there, the agility needs to be there, but it also needs to come with the education and showing people how to get most out of it.
So what are some of the technologies and things? We hear a lot about automation. We hear a lot about that being one of the expectations, and that drives a lot of uncertainty inside of an organization. Like, you're in the insurance business, and a lot of people say insurance brokers or banks or financial services are going to change, be displaced. How do you create that change without people going, oh, there comes the IT person and my job's going to be on the line?
Yeah, we're the favorite person to turn up to any office when they look at a big change program. But I think you have to give people a vision as to actually what outcome you're trying to drive, because we have driven RPA, robotics, and a bit of AI in our industry. Believe it or not, insurance industry is actually trying to modernize.
Yes, massive change.
But we've been fortunate as a growing organization. We've been able to take the capacity that we've released from the synergies and the efficiencies that robotics has driven, and we're actually getting the spare capacity to drive higher value activities. We're actually looking at the outcomes of the data, and we're trying to get them to then use that data and work with our clients. So how can we then start to turn that output into actually another value stream within the industry. And so far we've been relatively successful, and there's still a lot more work to be done. But I think a lot of it is to the individuals, is to be able to settle them down to say, we are not doing this to remove your role. We're doing this to actually help you add more value back to our clients.
And I think that's super transformational. I've been in a few conversations of staff, like nobody really likes doing a mundane thing, if I can be told, and maybe a way of attracting better talent to your organizations, right?
I completely agree. With the whole RPA as a, pharma companies, have been behind on the RPA journey. So we started just about a year ago, I think, in really understanding, how do we do that? How do we automate processes and remove the waste? But if you think about a lot of supply chain organizations within any industry, it's all about applying lean and removing waste and, sort of removing complexity and waste, rationalizing, normalizing, standardizing, and then automating. And in fact, you have to follow those processes even to do a single bot. You have to design, you have to look at the process, you have to remove the inefficiencies, because if you just automate inefficient processes, all you're going to end up doing is, you automating somebody's task, but you effectively accepted, I like that inefficient process, we'll just kind of automate that.
You have a fat bot.
You have just a fat bot, absolutely. So I think, I think
a lazy bot, effectively.
well, and you've got lots of lazy bots then appearing everywhere. So I think our journey has been slow and careful, but once we've understood it, now we're accelerating, and it's like a hockey stick effect. And we're hoping to have more than sort of 50 bots by the end of next year, possibly even more. And I think for a pharma company to do that across not just the traditional finance and HR functions, but to start to do that across our research and development chain.
Technically complex processes.
Extremely complex with a lot of regulatory aspects to it. I think it's a huge opportunity. Of course, it presents us challenges, but this is exactly what we need to do. In order to digitize and to completely transform and be a lot more productive organization. And we should talk a little bit about productivity, because there's a notion that productivity is all about removing FTEs. Absolutely not. I think, of course, it's ultimately it's about output divided by input, right? And it's about ideas. And you can look in the economics terms, it's all about total factor productivity, and it's how capital and labor comes together with great ideas. And so that's what productivity is ultimately. And so I think RPA is one of the many tools in the toolbox, to drive productivity and actually help focus on what really drives value to a user, consumer, customer, and get the focus on generating the value in those areas.
It's quite an interesting point you raise, actually. I love the term mundane. I'm going to have to use that. I always shied away from that one, but I'm going to use that from now on. One of the things that we found, being the service provider that we are, there's an expectation that we see things a lot sooner than anybody else does. So if there's an attack coming from a specific location in the world, we're expected to see it. But we have a finite number of people, so we've developed and deployed machine learning and AI. And initially, people were sitting there with that fear. Oh, you're doing that to sort of get me out of a job, and I'm not really happy about this. And I think you really hit a real strong point in terms of digital transformation. It's not about automating your current tasks. It's about completely rethinking how you're going to deliver what that aspiration is. So for us, it was clearly, we need to be able to see these threats. And through automation and machine learning, we've been able to do that. We haven't cut our FTEs. We've actually recruited another 400, because now the information that's coming in has been pre-processed.
Much more rich.
It's rich.
Yeah.
It's real content now that they can act upon. So, you 100% agree in terms of when you're doing a digital transformation, it's not just about automating a process. It's really thinking about how can I make this more efficient? How can I raise its productivity? And what is best for the company moving forward?